Good evening and welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Pace, and I warmly welcome you um, to this live podcast from Southern California. And you've reached the right spot because here we are, how to fight the child protection system and how to get our children back. It seems like every case, they always want to take the children, whether they're in extreme danger or not. And I know that is hard for you to understand, but um, that is definitely a bad situation because the CPS is corrupt, as most of you know it. Now, you found me on Facebook. I'm broadcasting live on YouTube using the StreamYard application. And there's several ways, there's 4 ways you can interact with this podcast. One of the first ways is to be in this room, just be a listener. That's a real easy way. You don't have to say anything, and hopefully there's things that are said by me or others that will help you in your CPS case. I'm not a professional attorney, but I do have a lot of experience fighting CPS and talk to a lot of people in different states, and things that have worked for them, I've been passing on to you all. So just being in this room is one way. A second way is to text comments. Now, some comments, should be about a child protection system questions. We could talk about a lot of other things, but this room is strictly for child protection system questions. Things that would help you get your kids back or how to prevent your kids from being taken and so forth. And so I warmly welcome you. And then when you text a question to me, please show me your name, your city, your state, or country. And the reason why I say country is that we have about 13 countries that have text questions about their child protection system in their country. We've had Bangladesh and New Delhi, India. We've had Africa. We've had the South Africa, one of the provinces there had called in. Then a little bit north in Africa, we've had Mozambique, which is on the east side of Africa, across from Madagascar, on the east coast of Africa. In Central East Africa, we've had Rwanda, that is near the Lake Victoria, and it's had a terrible road of life because in the 1994s, the country was devastated by over 1 million people being killed and 400,000 females being raped. And those are astronomical numbers, and that's a lot for the country, but they've called in too, and things have changed there. Now, further north on the west coast is Liberia, and that's a coastal country, and they too have called in. A guy named Archie calls in all the time, talk about his scouting program and how, the scouts are a good thing for the boys and girls. The Boy Scouts of America now involve girls, so they don't call themselves Boy Scouts; they call it Scouts. And so we've had that guy from Archie text in numerous times. Also, we've had in Europe, we've had the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Wales. And then other than that is that we've had Denmark and Sweden, which surprised me because I thought they were really high up on their child protection system. But they have text and comments. And across the pond, we have the North America, where it's been Canada on both coasts have text comments in. All the 50 states have text comments in, as well as Washington, D.C. I've talked to over 500 people. And, most of them are saying that CPS is awful. The child protection system is awful. Then moving down to Mexico at the border, we've had Mexico, and we had one guy looking for his daughter in Louisiana. He called in. Then across the Pacific Ocean, the land down under, we've had Australia. So those are the countries. Oh, I can't forget the one in South America, and that is Guyana. And there are east of Venezuela, north of Brazil. So those are the countries so far. I welcome all the countries of the world, and if I can help them, I'd be glad to do so. Again, I want to welcome you all because I know what a hard struggle it is to suddenly have your family torn upside down. I've been there. I've, had a CPS case myself. Now, another thing too is that if you want to be a guest on my podcast, all you have to do is schedule a time with our show producer, Grace. She works hard behind the scenes. I thank her, but she, keeps me in line and helps me out with my podcast. And so if you email her, and I'm one of 14 shows on Monday through Sunday, twice a day, morning and evening. And all you do is say, I want Bob's Saturday morning show, or Bob's Sunday evening show, or Bob's Tuesday morning show, or his Wednesday evening show. That's all you have to tell her in an email. Now, our email is grace@vincentwdavis.com. Grace@vincentwdavis.com. So, that's another way. That's the third way. A fourth way is to call in. You may want to call in and text your message, and I put my phone number up. And that's my phone number, my office phone number. I can talk between the show times. If you call me before the show times, I can't talk. So it's only the show times that I can talk. The phone is on now, and I'm open now to phone calls about your case. Try to be complete with your case so not to play ping pong ball back and forth. I need to know what kind of family you have. Is it a husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, lovers, partnership? Is both spouses still involved? Only one spouse? Are you a single parent? Are there many spouses for each children? What's your makeup of your family? That's all I'm trying to say there. So that's important. So I've covered the four ways: be in the room, texting messages to me, schedule as a guest, and fourth, by phone calling in. Now, I'm very happy to see Lori Hiller. She puts William Mullen. I never know where she's from, but she always has somebody that she wants to list there. And I guess she once had a case or did have a case and wants to pay respect. And there is the back porch of my room, Faye. And she is such a wonderful woman. I'm so glad to get a chance to meet her and how she works so hard, to take care of her family. She's struggling, trying to be a guardian of her son who's 23. And the police are always intimidating her. She's a foster child. She went through the foster system 5 times as a young child. She's seen everything, been molested, and I can't go on. Sadly, she still loves her mother. Mother's dead, but her mother's the one that bailed on her and caused her problems growing up. Well, it seems so typical that CPS, if you're once for a foster care and you're an adult, they're going to come after you. And it's wrong, because maybe they think because they got money off your mother or father, they get more money now. So I don't know. I really don't know. Anyway, Faye is from Richmond, Kentucky. I have no idea where Lori's from. It'd be nice if Lori could tell us. But we have several people in the room. As I say, we have silent ones in there. We have about 10 people, and 2 are making comments. Welcome. Shannon is in the room, and she's from Oklahoma. She is the Indian tribe, the Cherokee, and she's fighting the Indian tribe. Seems somehow there's very much corruption going on. They have 7,700 square miles of Indian reservation. She happens to be on the reservation. She's trying to fight them, and they're trying to hold her hostage. She wants to expose them because she has recorded information and documentation that could expose them. And the Attorney General is wearing two hats. She's the executive director um, of the Indian Child Agency. They're administrating it. So it's the ICWA thing, the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1998 is when that act was passed. It was 100 years in the making because for 100 years, the Indian children were constantly being adopted off and no chance of family reunification. What the ICWA does, it has CPS find out if they are Indian children or could be registered as Indian children. There's 548 tribes, federally funded tribes. So if you're one of those things, but Shauna is going through a nightmare with that agency. It seems like they're really doing it really, really hard. And so um, she further says, yeah, you're Oklahoma. I know that. So we have Kentucky, Oklahoma, and unknown from Lori there. And let me see if I can round up the other troops here. Trying to check to see the other troops here. Oh. Hmm. Okay, my sound's on, and it should. It's all set to take calls. When you call me, oops, my phone number went down. I wonder why that did. I put it up and left it up, but somehow. There it is. It's 626-698-0990. Call in. I am taking calls. And again, I want to welcome you all. Hey, Christina. She's another one of those beautiful moms in the room. And she's from New Mexico. And she's on Facebook. She's writing a little girl piece. And she really cares about her children and how she was abused and how the child protection system is really bad. It's really bad out there. I'm sorry to say. You can't trust them. You can't. They're not transparent. They don't follow through. They will seek retaliation against you, and your children are hurt in foster care. It's really sad that we have many good families out there and good moms and dads, and we have an agency that's gone rogue. They are a branch of social services and are supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse and do family reunification, but they don't believe in family reunification. So I'm trying a new background. This background I tried this morning, it's a brick background, and hopefully it is better. So let me know if you like it or not like it, or I'm trying to get Google to show me some more backgrounds. But see, I have a double imagery. I have one that Grace designed, and then I have my own that is transparent over it. And so I'm trying to find out. Okay, Christina says, I think she should get the Cherokee census and find her forefather records. Well, she is a Cherokee Indian. She's already established residency, and she is registered, and her children are registered. What's happened is the Cherokee reservation has become bad. You see, when the way it's supposed to work is CPS will put them with the Indian tribe on the reservation. They in turn will put them with Indian families, and then the Indian families will help the kids. The other families do reunification to help to go back. Shannon from Oklahoma says, I send out, no, she says, and all her three kids are all registered card holders with the DBIB. I don't know, but with the GDGBI. Anyway, they're registered. And that means the CPS has to turn them over to the tribe. The only problem is that the tribe is somehow interfering with her case and making it so that she can't get reunited with her kids. And that's bad. That's so bad. Um, being a Cherokee in the Oklahoma reservation, um, you would expect that the Indian tribe would help her with a good Indian family to help her so that she get family reunification, but that doesn't seem to be happening. It doesn't seem to be happening. Now, I have Christina says, hi, Faye. We all say hi to each other. This is the steady group of people. Shannon and Faye and Christina have been in this room for a long time, as well as Lori. But Lori doesn't do much in there. So this room is what you wanted to make it. I'm here to help. I have over 100 tabs that I could talk about all kinds of topics that would help you. I have my 4 rules too, and my experiences. My experience in child protection was awful. The agency's awful. Now I need to send out texts to 2 of my people that are in the room, just to remind them. One person is a mom in West Hollywood, California, named Nadia. And I'm just sending out her because sometimes the notifications don't work. So I just sent out to Nadia, and now I'm sending out to Danielle, who is from Georgia. And she used to be my co-host, but her computer's been foul, and so she hasn't really been much to say about that. Oh boy. We had someone call in too early at 5:16, and we had someone call right at 8 o'clock. I must have missed. I don't know what happened. Wendy from Detroit, Michigan, and she was on YouTube last night. And I told her and she called me again. So I just sent her a text from that person, and I'm trying to get the other people. I tried to so that people that call, so I've got the notice out to enough people in there. Now, there's a question by Shannon asked, Christina, did you find Shannon Broadway on Facebook? Christina, it's a question by Shannon. I don't know if you see these notifications or these comments, but I see them. I try to make sure everybody hears them and gets a chance to respond. And Faye says hello again. That was nice, Faye. That was nice. Christina, who's from New Mexico, who's been in California and Nevada. Bob, this is my kid's grandfather, many generations ago, right at the Bureau place. Okan. The Okanut's remains were uncovered during the archaeology dig around the site of the Choate for the Tellico Reservation improvements. His burial site was at the front door of the um, front door, so letting above the statue of the most council would have to walk over his grave to enter the structure and remember the contribution. That is beautiful, Christina. She's talking about her Indian heritage. That's a beautiful statement that you said there. I'll put that on the show so we can read it. And that was from Christina. So, what would you guys like to do tonight? Would you like to talk about some of my tabs I have open, or talk about my 4 rules, or talk about my case, or something new? Does anyone want to call in? You can reach me at 626 698 0990. That's my office phone. I answer during the show times. So please call in on that and you reach my phone. I use Vonage on my phone, so my phone's on waiting for phone calls. That's interesting, Christina, for your heritage, sharing it with the room. I love to hear about that. Um, well, I can start talking about the types of social workers to get you an idea what you're up against you don't already know. One social worker or social workers were 8 female social workers, all white, working in Prescott, Arizona. And they decided to wear pink t shirts. And then they stated on the front, they had stenciled professional child kidnappers. Now, professional child kidnappers is an awful thing to boast about. And on the back of their pink t shirts, they had, "Do you know where your children are at?" But they decided to wear this, 8 of them, in Prescott, Arizona, at the Walmart, the Costco, the Target, all the department stores. And the parents were outraged. They fired those 8 workers. They had 25 years of experience. And they fired the director too. So that was an example of one of the workers. Hmm. Hmm. Another case was just recently, a couple months ago in Chicago, Illinois. A social worker decided to advertise on their Facebook page an ad saying "Black children for sale." It was a reproduction of an ad from 1848, and they used the N word. You're not supposed to say that on the Facebook here or YouTube. But she decided to post an ad without any change, "Black children for sale." Now, see, I'm confused because she is a black woman. Why would a black woman in the year 2024 advertise pre-Civil War ad of 1848? These social workers are very sick. They're very sick. So if that doesn't aggravate you, how about this one? A social worker was um, and Christina's daughter was being investigated at school, and the social worker was a layman, and he came to school without notifying the parents and asked to speak to one of the students, and he didn't ask for a nurse and he wanted to be alone with her. Well, he's a pedophile, and he asked her to remove her clothing so you take pictures of it. That is your typical social worker. That's terrible. That poor girl was devastated. She came home and told her mom. Her mom called CPS. They ended up firing that guy. The school should have done something, but they didn't. And she went to the police, and they didn't. They didn't do anything. The police were terrible. Hmm. 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 So you can imagine how the parent felt, how Christina felt. It was a shame. But there was a person working at that CPS outfit, and they retaliated against Christina, and they made it accusations weren't true that she was molesting her son. That was terrible. That's terrible to do that. So anyway, um, that's a typical social worker. Now, Shannon further says from Oklahoma, I think the process of hiring the CPS workers as well as police should be reevaluated, made more intensive. Too many people with incompetence and malice hearts in its positions of power. I agree. Of power. I agree. I agree, Shannon. Hmm. 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 So the social workers, are so bad. You're like Alice in Wonderland, fall in a rabbit hole, and you're in these strange rooms where they say off with your head. That's how bad it is. And you need an attorney to defend yourself because they know the law so bad that they will make it look so bad for you. And I know you all say, well, I got a court appointed attorney. Well, the court appointed attorney is a lot different than the real thing. The court appointed attorney will represent you. That means you can't talk in court. And on top of that, they won't fight you. I mean, they won't fight for your rights. And then they usually have 30 or more clients, so they don't have time. They don't have time. Hmm. Oh, good grief. So, as I go back to saying, I'm not saying don't use a court appointed attorney, but be aware that you will not necessarily win your case or the fight for it. They're friends of the child's attorneys, they're friends of the social service, they're friends of the judge. They're corrupt. And that's why I suggest you talk to Vincent Davis. Vincent W. Davis is a dependency attorney. He's a juvenile family dependency attorney. He has over 35 years experience fighting CPS. and getting the kids back. And he's also fought CPS in civil suits and won millions of dollars in both the state and federal courts. So he can sue CPS for violation of your rights, but the lawsuits can only happen after your case is over. But please call in at 888-888-6582. That's the number on the screen that you're looking at. That's 888-888-6582. And talk to him. He'll do a consultation for 30 minutes for $60. It's well worth the time for a consultation, 30 minutes for $60. And he can do that for you. Just call in. Make sure you tell him that Bob Pace sent you. And then when you talk to Vincent Davis, say that Bob Pace sent you. Now, I have a ticket here that I put on the screen that you go to the website. Well, it was there. Let me see where it went. There it is. You go to https:// go to Candly, CALENDLY.com /apps, APPTS, VWD /Bob Pace. And now take to his calendar and you can schedule a time with him. It's only 30 minutes for $60. And also you can talk to him about his retainer. And he'll defend all the 50 states and so forth. It's just more expensive for him to travel because he has to cover his hotel, his transportation, the car rental, and the airplane, getting around and doing that there. So you can't go wrong with talking to Mr. Davis. It'd be the best thing you can do. He's a real lawyer. He's a trial attorney. And he's a real thing. So that's my rule number one. You need to have an attorney to go in there because fighting CPS is like doing open heart surgery. You're going to get a real doctor to do open heart surgery. You as a lame person is not going to do it. Your spouse is not going to do it. Your family member is not going to do it. You need a qualified doctor. Same thing. You need a qualified attorney and knows how to fight CPS and get your children back. Now, let me see if anybody has anything that you'd like to interject. Faye or Shannon or Christina, you have anything you'd like to interject? You'd like me to talk about anything? I'm talking about my rules. I just covered rule number one, which is hire an attorney in consultation with Mr. Davis. Now, Christina says, in my case, the social worker who was part of the negligence on my little one's case became the mental health counselor for the ones reporting abuse, who's already had ignored when that was with CPS and had asked my daughter specific questions. Shannon from Oklahoma further says, not everyone has dollars for attorneys. I know that, Shannon. And what ones work pro bono can't work in tribal courts. Tribe has a bar association list. If not on the list, you can't use them in their courts. Well, it's Indian law, and I told you, you're going to have to go to Washington, D.C. and talk to the Indian, I think it's called the Indian chief, the Indian, I forgot what the name is. It's the Indian in Washington, D.C. It's the cabinet for the Indians. You need to talk to them. You got to make some grievances and some complaints, Shannon. I know about the money with attorneys, and you've spent money, and everybody spent money. But I wanted my boys back, and I sold my house. And yes, it was a mistake to sell my house because now I don't have a house, and I lost 40 years of hard work. But I got my two boys back. I did not get my daughter back, and that was strange. If you want to know another type of caseworker, mine was the worst. She wasn't licensed. She didn't have a college degree. She was very young, didn't have experience in social matters, and she was on the witness stand. I shouldn't say witness stand. She was on the. We were doing a court about my wife's sister and husband taking possession of her daughter. We did not want this. So our attorney, Vincent Davis, asked our social worker, has there been any domestic violence with my wife's sister or husband? And she said, oh, no, they're good parents. No, no, no. Well, then he brought out a stack of police reports about all the domestic violence. So she lied and stand. She knew there was domestic violence. She was covering it up. Well, she retaliated and she told me, or told my wife, you'll never see your daughter again. And sure enough, she convinced her daughter to emancipate from us as parents. That means she divorced us as parents and divorced her brothers and the rest of the family. She changed her name, and then she sealed her birth certificate, and then she got adopted. And a little while ago, her adoption with her foster care family fell apart because they did hurt her. And she's 22 now. We still don't see her, but I'm glad to say that she's living with my older daughter. So I'm happy to hear that. And my two boys still keep in touch with her. Oh, thank you, Christina. She has the link. Um, I think that's a link to make complaints. Um, and that is at the Washington D.C. level. Sean says, "What were the grounds they used for your daughter to emancipate? They don't have to prove grounds, don't they? No. What they do is you see your children are alienated from you as parents. They use a technique that is very sad. That's against the law. They brainwashed my daughter, who hadn't seen us since she was taken from us. And she saw the mother very briefly, but she did not see the dad. And she loved her father. But this social worker was so evil, and most of them are, they retaliated. So she was convinced that's the better way, you know. So she didn't have to do anything. In California, you can emancipate at the age of 12. That's the age you can divorce your parents. You don't have to have a reason. It's just like divorce in California. You don't have to reason for divorce. Recyclable differences is all you have to do, and you get a divorce. Divorce are easy to get in California. And I think that marriage, if you're going to get a divorce, I think you need to go to counseling. You need to go to marriage things and salvage the marriage. Marriage is a lifetime commitment, and it should not be something so easily gotten rid of. And taking care of children is a lifetime commitment. Oh, Christina says that link is for the Indian Health Services, the federal human program for American Indians and Alaska Natives. That's the link, Sean. And that link that she sent out is the link for you to complain about the Cherokee tribe. I know it's absurd at 12. I was horrified. My wife and I had tears. I remember when the judge asked my daughter, do you know by divorcing your parents you won't see any of your family members? Are you sure you want that? They did that on video thing that we couldn't even see her face. I can guarantee that she did not want that to happen. And it's the saddest thing. It hurts me so bad. She's 22 and I can't participate. There's 9 years of her life have gone from me. 9 years are gone. Doing this podcast really hurts me a lot because I repeat my case over and over in my head. I can't believe the things that they do. They don't like seniors, they don't like elders, they don't like parents, they don't like families, they don't believe in reunification. All they like is revenge and hurt and more hurt. It's the most painful thing. I know most of you are going through the same thing. I know to lose a child. That is hard. That is so, so hard. Faye, are you still around? Would you like to talk a little bit and then talk? Faye, would you like to talk? Or would you like to talk, Christina or Shannon? If one of you ladies like to talk, my phone number is open. You can call in and maybe you could talk about something there. Okay, I've talked about rule number 1. Rule number 2 is the paperwork of things. And you need to keep track of your paperwork. Mine was all over the place. And one way to do so is have a notebook 8.5 by 11, or it's 8 by 11.5. But it's a 3-ring binder that's 3 to 6 inches thick. And you can put all your court documents, all your classes you've taken, programs you've taken, all your tests for drugs and so forth. But one of the most important things are the incidents. These are things when you interact with the police or the child protection or your children or whatever. You want to list every incident in the chronological date order. So you put the date, the time, the location, and who is involved. Then you write a description of what the incident was, and then you have a follow-up, how the incident ended. You may not have the answer because you're still working on it. And this be good because 6 months from now, a year from now, you'll remember by looking at your notes. You won't remember off the top of your head. So try to do that, hole punch everything, organize it into subject matters. Get a subject dividers and put that in there and stuff it full of college rule notebook paper. And that's your notebook. And if you need more than one, make a second one. But try to keep them all together. Use highlighters, yellows and pinks, to highlight things. And then rule number 3 is really one that you should pay attention to. Rule number 3 is that you should not allow or open the door to social workers or police. There's only 3 ways they get in your home. 1, you give them permission. 2, there's imminent danger happening, such as domestic violence. There's weapons being fought with. The child is being hit against the wall or hurt. CPS and the police will intervene. That's number 2. Number 3 is a court warrant. They have to have a court document that allows them to come into your home. And on that court warrant, it should be original, like the wet signature from the judge, the emboss from the stamp. You should be able to feel that on the paper because they're raised up on the paper. And it should not be a copy. It should be addressed to you or your spouse. And it should list the children involved and what the accusations are. Further, it should say where it's going to be inspected at the date and time. And then lastly, it should say the allegations and what they can do, what they can't do. And if you're outside, one way to get rid of them is say you cannot talk to them any further. You need to talk to your attorney. That's a good timeout thing because you should have an attorney present at all times. because they're going to dupe you. If you let them in the home, they'll inspect your home without your knowledge, and it's sad what parents do. So don't let them in the home. If they're outside, you probably say they're knocking the door. Let them knock. Go hide in the door. I tell people not only not open the door to them for those reasons, is you can be shot and killed. There's been 2 incidents lately. One was a black woman in her night robe and working on the dishes, and this policeman 5 times shot her in the face. 5 times. Dead as a doornail. And he was arrested, this police officer was, and he was fired. He was fired and arrested as, definitely a capital murder or whatever the case is. But that's not going to bring back the woman. The woman's dead. Then there was a black Air Force man, Roger, in Gainesville, Florida. He answered the door and he shot 5 times in the chest. And he was talking to his girlfriend on FaceTime, and she got to see him die. That's a horrible way to end it. And he didn't know who was knocking the door because the policeman never identified him. The policeman is at the wrong place. It took him a week before they got rid of him. But he's fired, but I don't know if you have to serve any crime for what he did, because what he did was wrong. That was excess force of power. Policemen are too carried away. I don't understand. They can learn how to shoot. Why can't they learn how to wound somebody? Don't have to necessarily know how to kill them every time. But it seems like that's all police know how to do is kill, kill, kill. So if that doesn't scare you by answering the door, don't answer the door, because that could be you dead. Also, be careful of medical trafficking. If you take your children down to the emergency room because of their sickness and a social worker happens to be down there talking, they could take your child away. You got to be careful. They're down there. So be leery. Don't talk to social workers. Also, if you're having a baby, don't let the social worker in your room. Don't let them take your child. They'll try to take it because they think you tested positive for drugs. So you really got to be careful of these social workers. They're really bad with medical trafficking. A lot of people don't realize that, but that's really sad. Oh, boy. And my last rule is the research rule. That's where you want to learn everything it is. Rule number 4, about the CPS in your area. You type in CPS, Richmond, Kentucky, and then it's going to pull up a lot of subjects you need to research. You need to know everything you can. Spend 60 hours researching it, because that's the power. It'll help get your kids back. Help get your kids back. I have about 10 minutes left. And again, the phone is open at 688-6990. Christina has put some websites. Thank you, Christina. One is the BIA, Bureau of Indian Affairs, and it's Child and Adult Protective Services. Yeah, the Bureau of Indian Affairs is where you want to deal with. And then the Bureau of Social Services at Washington, D.C. And she has one on the ICWA, too. Bureau of Indian Affairs, Government, Bureau of Indian Affairs, OIS, DHS, Department of Health Services, and ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act. That's that act of 1998 that helps out Indian children and family don't lose their Indian child, because since 1875 they've been losing them because no one cares about them. So I've covered my 4 rules. I've talked about ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act, how they're supposed to CPS, if the children are Indian, registered Indian, they're supposed to turn the children over to the tribe, and the tribe puts them with families, and they get back together. So I know that. Um, Faye, if you're still there, is there something else that you could talk about here, or any of you, Christina, Shannon? Um, hmm. Yeah, my case was terrible because for 5 years they had a layperson call in and make allegations that weren't true. It was my wife's family, the mother, the father, the sisters, the brothers. They were trying to take our kids when I lost my job in 2010 through no fault of my own. Instead of anybody helping me, they kept trying to pull me down. They tried to pull me down. Hmm. And for 5 years, they harassed me and said things that weren't true, and I proved them, wrong time after time. But then they got help from the police, and the police detective followed me and tricked me coming to home. And they had everybody there. They had the five firemen, two code enforcement, two uniformed policemen, three social workers, and the detective all there trying to find something wrong because they weren't finding anything wrong. But the layperson calling in, I don't know if they're vendetta or what. But they came to my home. I gave them permission. I didn't know anything about it, and unfortunately, I was cleaning my parents' belongings, and I had boxes of furniture stacked, and they said that's neglect. I said those boxes could hurt my kids. I said they're not up in their bedrooms. They're not upstairs. They're organized, and I'm just sending them off to my family and friends to dispose their belongings. My dad's dead. My mom's dying. They didn't care. They just wanted to find something. It's ridiculous. The firemen were measuring my smoke alarms and testing. They couldn't find nothing wrong. They didn't check my fire extinguisher to make sure it's up to date. And again, they couldn't find anything wrong. Code enforcement was making sure there was a lock on my door for the pool. I had a beautiful pool. I had a beautiful home. It was beautiful. I worked 40 years for that home. But they're bad. I blew it. I told everything to the detective. I told the social workers, and they charged with neglect. And they took my children away. They're in school. They weren't in imminent danger. How was being in school? One child was at a private school in high school. Another child was in middle school, and the other child was with me. And they weren't in imminent danger. There's nothing being harmed to them. Their attitude is, oh, you're neglect, so you must be in imminent danger. They weren't in imminent danger. Their bedrooms were clean. And it's like no one listened to me. I would text because I didn't have an attorney. I was so stupid not having an attorney. And if I got an attorney right away, I probably would not have lost my daughter. But they should be sued. They know they did something wrong, and I could sue them, but I don't have fees to fight them. I know that you get a percentage back of the lawsuit goes to the attorney. 30% goes to the attorney. But I couldn't find an attorney that would take it on like that. The best I found was $50,000 to do a civil lawsuit. We're slowly getting close to the end. I think, you know, I've had a long day. Had a long day. I'm fighting demons myself out there. And it's okay, Sean. And I could talk about my cases over and over. And I know you can't see Christina's, but she gave links. Um, I would think you'd say the links here. Let me see if I can put them up here. I put them on the screen, Shannon. There's one link right there. And here's another link here. There's another one. And Christina is showing them too there and stuff. So here's another link that Christina has. So she's given 3 links there, so that's really good. And thank you, Christina. Well, I really want you to keep fighting for your case, for your kids. I want to thank you all for coming to my room and sharing some things. I know it's important to you. I wish I could wave a magic wand, but thank you, Shannon from Oklahoma. Thank you, Christina from New Mexico. And thank you, Faye from Richmond, Kentucky. And I want to thank also Lori Hiller, who I really don't know where she's from. She always comes in, but never identifies and says something special. So she came on the show again, as she always has. And thank you, Lori. And thank all you listeners. You may not be doing comments, but I want to thank everybody listening in this room. It's very important, so I want you to keep fighting for your children. Don't give up. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. This is Bob Pace signing off.